Hi, I'm Rich Suttie. I work at the University and Agency Partnership Initiative out of the Center of Homeland Defense and Security here at lovely the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. And I'm walking with Meghan McPherson, who is an assistant director at the Center of Health and Innovation at Adelphi University and also teaches in the emergency management graduate programs. And the mission for the University Partnership is to share all the good things that our partners are about, not only in the classroom, but in the community and how they get the classroom out into our local communities. And we thought Meg just had such a great story of one such program, and we've asked her to share it with us. So Meg, if you'd first give me a little bit of your professional background, and then we'll get right into your story.
Sure, very quickly, I'm at the university now. Before that, I was with the governor of New Hampshire, and I was a grants manager, and I also worked on energy infrastructure protection, dealing with deliverable fuels. And before that, I worked for James Lee Witt in his private sector firm, the former director of FEMA, and was deployed down to Louisiana and had a wonderful experience there.
Right.
And then I was in grad school at George Washington for public policy and national security policy.
Great.
So it was a good background.
That's outstanding. You have a number of things you're doing at the center, which
We
will
do.
actually play out, I think, in your story. But get to your story. Help us out.
So a lot of emergency management stories don't start with at the nail salon, but I was at the nail salon.
Okay.
Getting my nails done, as you do on Long Island. And the woman who did my nails was pointing to the screen because Hurricane Mathew was coming up the coast. And she was really nervous and didn't know how to prepare, didn't know what to do. She said, "We're scared."
Right.
And her native language is Mandarin. And so I had done a public service announcement dubbed with Mandarin subtitles. And so I showed it to her and she said, "This is wonderful. Can I send it to my family? We want to be safe too."
Right.
And I thought, of course you do. I've got to figure out a way to move into this. So I convinced the university to do a pilot program in that town, who had been a previous partner on a previous project, the town of North Hempstead.
Okay.
And we went to all 120 nail salons.
Okay, 120.
There's a lot of them.
Just a few.
Just a few. And we went in and gave them information in their native language, which was Korean, Mandarin, Vietnamese, and Spanish, about how to prepare for a disaster. Because if you go somewhere and live somewhere else, getting ready for a disaster in Europe is very different than getting ready for a disaster in the U.S. or in China. So it's very different. So we got that information to them, and they were so thankful to have something to understand the context, because we're telling them to be safe, but what are we actually telling them? What does that mean to them? Right?
What's that mean?
So we worked that out, and we were able to hand out almost 450 packets of literature. And the town was so thrilled, we're moving it to restaurants now and the folks that work in the back. Because service workers, if you think about it, they're the most vulnerable.
Right.
Because they're working when there's a snowstorm. That's the person delivering your food. They're making the beds in hotels when you evacuate.
Right.
And so they are that much more vulnerable, and it's good to take care of them in a way they can understand.
Part of the business sector that never closes.
Never closes.
Has to be there.
And it's good for the economic side of this as well, because the owners know that their workers are prepared.
Right. What are the challenges, you think, in terms of now you're going to the restaurant sector, et cetera? So that's the demand signal, that's the growth and the need in the service.
Right.
What are some challenges?
So a couple of things. Making sure you have the right packet of languages.
Okay.
So, once we're going into restaurants, we're now adding French Creole, because that's a large population we see for folks who are cooking. We worry about scalability both up and down, right?
Yeah.
So we're a really large jurisdiction, but how do we move this so that it can work in a small one? It absolutely can.
Right.
It doesn't have to be as robust, certainly. And there is the challenge that the folks that we're talking to are skittish when we come in and an official ID and with government, with FEMA plastered on something.
Right.
That, why are we there and what are we providing? But we don't ask for any information. We don't ask to come back. I just want them to be safe.
Right.
And that's what started the whole project, and it continues to grow.
And you've been able to involve students.
We have students are working on a lot of different projects in the community with me, but this one, they're helping me build train the trainer sections, because now we have faculty and students who want to go out.
Okay.
So I won't have to go to Hall 100
all 100 by yourself.
And so we're building training packets, kind of train the trainer, and then they will go out and everybody will be assigned a town. Including graduate students, undergraduate students, and faculty at the university.
It's an amazing program, and it all started with the nail salon
It also
and your
did that.
relationships, though, the trust you built
Yes.
in the community that Adelphi allows you to do and is cooperative with you so that you actually are really an integral part of this community and a trust relationship, taking what you teach
Right.
and moving it into the community and helping everybody in the process.
Thank you. I think it's important for our students to see how emergency management
Yep.
works in the
Yep.
field, and
Yep.
and that it isn't always running at a hurricane. There's a lot of work that can be done
That just-
beforehand
yes.
that makes our communities more resilient, right? Because
Yep.
resiliency is often thought of as after the fact,
right.
but if we're able to do preparedness and mitigation before the fact, that's why you're able to bounce back faster.
It's really the key.
And it helps the economic side as well, which is always the push, right? To make sure these communities can come back.
Well, we love the story. We love the outcomes. We love the engagement. We're trying to propagate that across America with UAPI. You're helping do that. Appreciate your time here today.
Thank you very much.
A wonderful story. Nice
Great.
to meet
Happy
you
to
and
talk
nice to
about
hear
it.
about the program.
Great. Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot,
much.
guys. Great.